Good afternoon. Good afternoon. You're here with John Galt here. This is kind of an afternoon short stream here. We're going to talk about mixing black and white gas. And we talked about this on another stream earlier this week, or yesterday, or something like that. And one of the things we kind of discovered or we talked about was like mixing black and white tenants and how that works and kind of the pitfalls. Let me see if I get the screen right here. Mixing kind of the pitfalls of how that all works. And um, then we talked about, amazingly, we talked about how a lot of universities, because I've been thinking this, there is no way that universities can effectively, what did I say, effectively sort students, just allow it to randomly happen, that they would have to be sorting these students to make sure that there would be no conflicts in the dorms. That would be a tremendous upheaval to school if you're having students in constant battle, conflicts in their housing, things like that. So I wanted to share with you, see if I can get this right. I want to share with you one of the reviews that I had recently, and I think it'll show you kind of why the when you mix people with different backgrounds, typically it's blacks and any other group, you're likely to have problems. And here's one of the bigger problems is that you can have the room. I rent rooms, so this is the very important point here. When you're mixing people, particularly if they're renting rooms, dormitory styles, things like that, where there are shared bathrooms, shared kitchens, you're oftentimes going to run into conflict. You may run into conflict even before that because the amount of noise that, typically, and being fair, that Black people will make relative to other groups, it differs. And so you'll find that people aren't necessarily able to accept kind of that noise, the level of noise, uh, you know, different groups. So I'm going to show you a review. Here's a review here. Let me see if I can blow it up on the screen. See if I can get the right layout here, just so you can better see that. I like that one. Either. Maybe this. All right. Let's try this. All right. Let's see. Maybe this will work. Time being. And I may have to zoom in a little bit. If you can see it, let me know in the chat. Not, let me know. But here's a review. Are you able to see this on the screen here? If not, I'll just maximize it like that. I'll minimize myself just for the sake of argument here. All right, so let's go with this. If you're able to read the screen, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll read it to you. This was a review from a guest, and I'll read it for you. Her name was Sylvia, 2024. Make sure I have that review. And here's some of the things that she said, and I'll show this to you. The place was decent for what it was worth. Honestly, my review has nothing to do with the room I rented. The bed was super comfortable and it was spacious in the room. My only issue was that someone, and this someone is someone that we're familiar with, this is Shadowrika that she's speaking of, who has been staying there long term, was in the bathroom for 2 hours and did not consider that anyone else might need to use the bathroom. There's 4 bedrooms and 1 bathroom. I knocked several times and she told me, it's my hair wash day, so I don't know what to tell you. I've been here for 2 weeks. I'm not rushing for nobody. Now remember, Shadowrika is a Temple graduate, by the way. This was a Temple graduate responding to the other guests in the home. I'm not rushing for nobody. Temple graduate, by the way. I ended up leaving to go to work and had to use the bathroom there, and they sent me home because I was late. Wow. I finally was able to use the bathroom the second day I was there, Saturday, and it was filthy. She left her hair all over the bathtub, sink, and toilet. She pulled the same stunt again, holding up the bathroom. Sunday morning, she woke me up at 7 a.m., yelling at the top of her lungs. Super rude. I ended up leaving the day before I was supposed to check out because it was so frustrating. That is an Airbnb guest, and I would venture to ask you to guess what she wrote for her review. Now, remember, the room which I rented her, which she booked, was super clean. The bathroom, which is a common area, was made nasty, not by me, but by the guests. Hair, things like that. You've seen me unclog drains. You even saw the hair that Shadowrika would have probably left in the bathtub because I showed you the weave that she had in her room, right? And so there it is. And so this guest left me a 2-star review, not because of anything that I did incorrectly or wrong or sloppily, or it was the fact that she didn't like the other guest in the house. And so that led me to think there's no way that universities that have mixes of students could allow random sorting of students without serious, serious issues. And so I was just randomly, I Googled, I said, let me see if there are any articles about how do universities handle housing. And I was amazed, to be honest with you, I was amazed to see what I found. And here's a Google search. Here's my Google search. So you can see exactly what I found. And we discussed some of these things on the other stream. Black housing on campus. And you'll see the first thing here is American University. It's a college here in university. There's a dorm. A Black affinity housing is a living thing program located in Roper Hall. It's a Black affinity housing. So again, American University, they may preach diversity, but they understand that diversity does not work in a living arrangement. And so here's Roper Hall. I'll invite you to take a look at this picture if it ever comes up here. And here's Roper Hall. And this is Roper Hall, if you can see it. And here's Roper Hall. And I have a better picture of Roper Hall for you. Let me see if I can find that. I'm sure I have it somewhere here. And while I'm looking for that, I'll pull up another article that I found. And here's an article from American University, the Eagle. It's probably talking about Roper Hall here. And here's Roper Hall. And here are the students that live in Roper Hall. You can see this picture here. Hopefully you can see it on the screen here. This is Roper Hall. And this, right, there's no whitey allowed. This is Black affinity housing. And I imagine that this Black affinity housing, the noise and things like that is probably a little bit easier to tolerate. The bathroom days, the hair wash days that the lady spoke of, my Airbnb guest, they probably avoid some of these issues by kind of creating affinity housing. And you can see that there, and that's American University. And if we were to go back to the search criteria that I had here, you'll see again that there's just every university, all these universities have Black affinity housing. This is Western Washington University. That's in Seattle area, Washington area. Western Washington University implements Black only housing. You'll see that here. This is from Black Enterprise. Western Washington University implements segregated Black only student housing. Small school located south of Seattle has created segregated housing on its campus specifically for Black students. And this doesn't seem to be a critical article. This program will explore and celebrate the diversity of Black and African American people and culture. Okay, so there doesn't seem to be an issue there from the standpoint of Black enterprise in terms of segregated housing. And the students, the Black students, you don't see them complaining in front of segregated housing here. Here's another article in 2021, Black students only housing set up at Washington, some other university here. American University announces Black affinity housing. University of Washington, Ohio State, and on it goes. I have some more articles. Again, I want to share with you. And again, from an Airbnb's perspective, you've heard me on the streams kind of vetting guests and deciding against or yay or nay for a guest. Black people, by and large, do not write reviews. By and large, not all of them, but a large number of them don't write reviews. The sex offender, he didn't write me a review. He complained about no TV. It was cold in the house. He still didn't write a review. Negative or positive, he didn't write one. Shatarika, she didn't write a review. Negative or positive, she did not write a review. Now, she could have wrote one and say, hey, he did such a great thing for me, helping me raise money on Airbnb. She didn't do it, fine. She didn't write anything negative. She didn't write anything positive. But the other people that have to deal with the Black people will write reviews if they have bad interactions with them. And I've shown you all of the bad interactions, on the streams probably damn near a year now between the challenge that you've seen me on. And it is a very serious problem that when you start to mix blacks and whites in housing, particularly if they're sharing bathrooms and kitchens, or if the noise can travel from one room to the next, you're going to have serious problems, and it's going to show up downstream again in your reviews. I'll show you the review again. So for people that don't believe it, here is the review in case you came in late here. Here's a review that I got from a non-black woman after staying with Shatarika. You guys will remember Shatarika. She was the tenant that we did the fundraiser for on the stream. And again, here's the complaint about Shatarika. My only issue, which is what kept her from giving me a 5-star and gave me a 2-star, which can get you thrown off the platform of Airbnb, was that someone who has been staying there long term was in the bathroom for 2 hours, didn't consider that anyone else might need to use the bathroom. I knocked several times, and Shatarika told her, it's my hair wash day, so I don't know what to tell you. I've been here for 2 weeks. I'm not rushing for nobody. Again, that's a Temple University educated black person that has as little respect or consideration for her fellow man as a ghetto person. And that person, that one person in the house, no matter what I did, got me a 2-star review. And that is one of the reasons why I say you can't rent to black people and mix them with white people, because you will end up with a bunch of 2-star reviews no matter what you do, because they will create an environment where one person is going to, typically the non-black person is going to be so angry, and they're not going to tell you. The lady never reached out to me and said, hey, there's a person staying in the bathroom 2 hours, because they don't want conflict with that person. Because you see,
Channel new number.
Because you can see the conflict that she brought to the lady when she said, I don't care what you got to do. What did she say? Let me share it again. This type of attitude, and again, this lady was sent home from work, right? They sent me home because I was late. Here it is right here. Shatarika got her sent home from work. She couldn't even use the bathroom in the morning. I'm not rushing for nobody. I ended up leaving to go to work and had to use the bathroom there, and they sent me home because I was late. Now you can say, well, you should have gotten up early. But this kind of inconsiderate behavior to get up and wash your hair for 2 hours in the morning, knowing that there could be someone else going to the bathroom, needing to use the bathroom because they're headed to work or out to tour the town. She didn't care. This is a Temple graduate that knocked me from a 5-star review to a 2-star review and potentially thrown off of their Airbnb platform. This is why the universities, as I showed you, they all do a good job of preventing random sorting of housing, and they put their tenants, their students in housing that best suits their racial demographics. And here's another article about that. I'll share this one with you. And then I'll take a look at some of the comments here. This is from Georgetown University, the Black House. The mission and vision to assess and meet the needs of students of color by implementing programs, events, and dialogue in a community-centered space, fostering community for students of color. That's the Black House at Georgetown. So again, these universities, they're not buying into the diversity. They have to manage thousands upon thousands of students. And the last thing that you want to be managing is interpersonal conflicts, a bump in the hallway that turns into a racial conflict. So you put them all together. You put them all racially together. Let's see, here's another article here. And I'm going to share one or two more with you. Yes, Black NYU students demanded segregated housing. No, the university did not agree to it. Well, they should have. I'm sure they already do it. I'm sure that when the applications roll in and they know who the students and what the demographics are, they sort them by race and class and put them in rooms that will prevent problems like what you saw with my guest, Shatarika, and the tenant, the other Airbnb guest that had to leave early. There's no way that these universities could allow it to happen randomly. And for those of you that rent rooms on Airbnb, or even if you have self-contained apartment buildings, you would serve yourself very well to pay particular attention to who you allow in the rooms to make in your listings, to make sure that there is the potential for conflict. You want to minimize that. And I would suggest that you take the university's role. These are big real estate type organizations that have billions to spend in the software, and they know what works. And they haven't, a business interest to keep down conflict. And you'll see here, I mean, it's all over the place. Here's another one. Here's another article. Williams College endorsed affinity housing. Here's an article here. And on it goes. So if you guys have any comments, feel free to put the comments in the chat. And if you listen to this later, feel free to comment. But again, Williams College, the Coalition Against Racist Education. They want Black-only housing at Williams College. And I think it's for the best, honestly. If you want to keep down conflict, and if you want to keep your listings listed on Airbnb or any of these other social media platforms, you're going to have to do the hard work and the uncomfortable work of sorting your tenants to keep down conflict. I'll take a look at the comments here, and then we'll, in this stream, go back over to our other 24-hour stream here. Imagine the shit slam if they were wild. Yeah, indeed. But you know, this is one of the interesting areas where the Blacks and the whites can happily segregate, and do it openly. If there were a Black neighborhood, I don't think Blacks would necessarily call their neighborhoods Black, and there couldn't be a white neighborhood, but there can be Black buildings on a white campus, and I think everyone can kind of get along and be okay with that. I share a bathroom with 5 other people. Yeah, well, you saw. It's interesting, in the house when Shadarika was there was 2 other guests, the lady that was complaining and one other guy, and she didn't give a damn about anyone. Yeah, it's my hair wash day, so I don't know what to tell you. That's correct. That is correct. So again, a day in the life of a landlord, and again, some advice for those of you that rent rooms or some type of shared housing. If you're in an area where there could be interpersonal conflicts, where it could boil down to race, I would suggest that you figure out a way to best avoid that, because it's going to cause you problems and potentially get you thrown off the platform as well. Again, thank you for joining, and I hope you enjoyed the show.